This conference will now be recorded.
Santosh, you can share your screen, please. Yeah. So we are discussing about client libraries. Okay. So I'll send an email. Download that first. Yeah, I shared one email. Just download and extract it in your exercises folder. Okay, so first we are going to create our own client library. Okay, so go to CRXD. Okay, so yesterday we have seen the client library created for WE Retail website, right? So first we need to create a node of type CQ colon client library. All the client libraries are nodes of type CQ colon client library. So we can create our client library in apps folder or in etc folder. Okay. So can you go to WE Retail? Yes, expand the client libs. Click on client lib hyphen site. Yes. So here, row number 5 in properties panel, JCR colon primary type, the value is CQ colon client library folder. It means all the client libraries are nodes of type CQ colon client library folder. Row number 2, there is a property called categories and the value is wretail.site. So what is this category? We are creating the client library, right? We want to use it, we want to call it. So how will call this client library? With the help of this categories name. Okay. So we are not going to call the individual files, right? We are not going to call JS1, JS2, JS3. So we will call the client library. So to call the client library, we'll use this categories property. Okay. Like if someone wants to call you, so I will call by your name. Similarly, if I want to call this client library by its category name, that is WE Retail site. Then there is a property called allow proxy, row number 1, and the value is true. If you create your client library in apps folder, you have to add this property allow proxy. Okay. because apps folder has some restrictions, right? So restrictions means only developer can create, modify, delete something in apps folder. Content authors are having only read-only access, right, to apps folder. So there are some restrictions. So to bypass those restrictions, we are using a property called allow proxy, and the value is true. Okay. So if you create your client library in apps folder, you have to add this property. Right. Then we have they created two folders, LESS and resources, one for JS and another for CSS files. Then they created js.txt and css.txt. So in those files, they mentioned the folder name and the file names that they want to include in the client library. Okay. Now we will create our own client library. Go to leaves folder, sorry, leaves etc folder. Close this. Go to etc. So here you will find a folder called client libs. Expand that. Right click on client libs, create node, training, name is training. So when you see this name field, always enter lowercase letters. And type is CQ colon client library folder. Yeah. In type field, type CQ colon client library folder. Select this. Click OK. Save it. Click on save. Okay. Now expand on training. We need to create two folders under training. So one name is JS and another name is CSS. You can give any name to those folders. Right click, create folder. Folder name is JS. You can give any name, but for our training purpose, just giving JS. And create one more folder called CSS. So then we have to create two text files under training. So select training. So right click, create file. File name is js.txt. Save it. One more text file, css.txt. Okay, fine. Now we have to add the categories. Select training. Training. So you should be careful. So if you drag and drop one folder in another folder, so it may corrupt your instance. Okay. So select training. Go to the properties panel. At the bottom of the properties panel, you can see there is a field called name. Right. Name field down. There is a field called name down. You can see name, type, value. Little down.
Which one? This one, right?
That is the last row. Okay, at the bottom of your properties panel, at the bottom of the yes.
Okay.
The name field, type categories, 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 and the value is training.edit. In the value field, type training.edit. Okay, click on add and save it. Okay, category name added, primary type, that's fine. Now under JS, create a file called training edit.js. Right click on JS, create file. No, JS folder. Create file. Training edit. Training capital E edit. That's fine. That's fine. Training capital E edit dot JS. Click OK. Save it. Okay. So we created a JavaScript file.
Vishal, which property did we added in the training?
The property name is categories. Still it is showing at the bottom. CAPEGORIES. It can now you can see it at the bottom of the properties panel also. And the value is training.edit.
Yeah, so, Vishal, I have a doubt here. So, in client lib, we will be creating using CSS and JS only. Yeah.
To use JS and CSS in your project, you have to
Hmm.
use client library framework. That's why we are creating this.
Okay. So in client libs, we will be using CSS and JS. Am I right
Correct.
or?
Yes, right,
Okay.
right.
Okay. So what is the reason we are creating these many folders and files?
This is the framework. Okay. So client
Okay.
library framework. So we have to create these many folders. Okay.
Okay.
We need to follow that framework. Okay. So then it will work.
Okay. So it is a static process for all the client libraries create while creating client libraries for all the
Yes.
pages.
Correct. So you can ignore creating folders, separate folders like JS and CSS. You can create your files directly in your client library. Okay. But we created the folder so that we can categorize our files. Okay. So that is not mandatory, but rest of the things are mandatory. You need to create a node of type CQ colon client library folder, add categories. You have to create js.txt, css.txt. Okay, you have to mention the file names in text files. So all those steps are mandatory. Only we have created two folders, that is not mandatory. Let's say you don't want to create CSS, use CSS in your client library. You no need to create CSS folder at all. Okay.
Okay.
Or you can create your files directly in your client library. Okay. So
Directly means
in training folder,
okay. Okay. Inside training folder only we have created right now, Bishwar.
yes, yes.
Okay. The other stuff directly means what you
Directly
are
means inside training folder. Right now we created JS folder under training. Under JS we created training edit.js. So that
okay.
training edit.js can be created inside training folder itself instead of JS folder.
Okay.
Okay, but better we have to follow better practice. Okay, so categorize your files. Okay, you won't be messed up while debugging things.
Okay. This naming conventions while creating folder it should be CSS and JS always, or
That's
we
what
can
I
give.
told. You can give any name to those folders, even if those
Okay.
folders are not mandatory. Okay, so you can create a folder with name CSS, style sheets, styles, any name, JS, JavaScript, scripts, any name you can give to that folder.
Okay.
Okay, so now open js.txt file. So here you have to mention the folder name and the file names that you want to include in your client library. So right now our client library is having only one file, trainingedit.js, only one JavaScript file, right? So I want to call it. So here in js.txt file, you have to mention the folder name and the file name that you want to include in your client library. So you need to type hash pound symbol base equal to type pound symbol type pound symbol shift 3
Where we need to in the coding part,
in the js.t encoding part in the editor, uh,
Okay.
right, pound symbol shift 3 base equal to the name of the folder which contains the JavaScript, trainingedit.js. Training training edit. No, the name of the folder name is JS, right? As base equal to JS instead of training edit.js, it's only JS. In which folder your file is there, JavaScript file is there. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
If you don't create this JS folder, no need to mention this line also. Okay, go to the next line.
Okay.
Give one more line break and type training edit.js. Training capital E edit.js. Okay. So make sure the name is okay. Fine. Save it. So similarly in CSS also, we are going to in CSS folder we are going to create all the CSS files, and in css.txt you have to mention the folder name and the file names that you want to include in your client library. Okay, so I shared one email. Go to your exercises folder. So open training edit.js. Copy this content, go to crxd, paste it in training edit.js. Okay, so we have written one alert message here. When we will call this client library, the JavaScript file will be executed, training edit.js will be executed, and this particular alert message will be displayed on your screen. Okay, fine. So our client library is ready. So we are going to call this client library. Okay, but before that, um, we have to inherit the page component. Okay, so before we call this client library, we'll discuss the inheritance of the components, and we'll inherit the component, then only we can come to this client library. Okay, so what is inheritance of component? Let's say you are developing a component called A. There is one component which is already existing called B. You want to utilize the properties of component B in component A. So how can you do that? By inheriting component B into component A. Okay, the properties of component B will be inherited to the component A. Okay. So why we need inheritance? Why we need to inherit the components? So let's say your client asked you um, to develop one component. Okay. So what should be your first approach? You should not develop that component from the scratch directly. Okay. You should not develop the component from the scratch. Then what you will do? First, you need to find out a component which is very similar to your requirement. Your client given you requirement. My component should behave like this. Okay. Now you have to find out a component which is very similar to that requirement. Where you will find that component? You can find it in foundation folders. You can find it in core, or if your project is already existing, there are some other components are already developed. You can search there. Okay. So you need to find out a component which is very similar to your requirement, or find out a component, okay, from where you will get some help at least. Okay. Then which component you have to search, where to search. So close this etc. There is a folder called leaves. Go to leaves folder. So under leaves folder, you will find a folder called foundation, then components. Correct. So here you will find a lot of components. These components are called as foundation components, and all these components are developed using JSP. Okay, these are inbuilt out of the box components. Okay, so right now they have created some other components using Cycli. You can use them, but if required, you can use these components also, or you can use the properties of these components also. Okay. So how I know that these components are developed using JSP? Expand any component, for example, image component. So you'll find image.jsp. This script file is having extension .jsp, right? So it means this component is developed using JSP. So under leaves, foundation, components folder, whatever components you see, all are developed using JSP. Okay. So here you can search the components to get some help. So close this, go to leaves, WCM, foundation. Okay, close this components folder, close this foundation folder. Okay, so there is a folder called WCM, leaves, WCM. Yes, components, components. Sorry, foundation, leaves, WCM, foundation, components. Yes, here also you'll find some components. Okay, so there is image component also. Expand image. So you'll find image.html. Okay, so all these components are developed using Cycli. Okay, so under leaves, foundation, components, whatever components we saw, all are developed using JSP. And under leaves, WCM, foundation, component, all components are created using Cycli. So you can search these two places. Okay, is there any component existing which is very similar to my requirement? If you don't find any component which is very similar to a requirement, find out a component from where you will get some help. Okay, so this is one place.
So this one I have a doubt here. So these are the inbuilt components, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, okay.
foundation
So
components.
yeah,
Hmm,
okay. Foundation components. So I have another doubt also. I could see client libs folder in all the main
component,
folder. So yeah,
component,
client libs folders
hmm,
in all the main
component.
folders, major folders. So I have a doubt. So we created client lib. or structure, right? So it
Hmm.
needs to be created in the etc folder only, or
No, no, no.
how is it?
It can be created in apps folder also. Okay.
Okay,
So why
what
they
is the difference
why they
between?
created these client libs under the components? Because the JS and CSS files created under this client library are specific to this component only. But the client library that we created is applied to your page, entire website. But this
Okay.
client library will be applied to your component only. So
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of creating, uh,
I got that, but I could see you told right in the beginning that we can create client libraries in apps folder also. So what is the difference between creating in etc and apps folder?
so in apps folder there are some restrictions, right?
Okay. What?
So
Oh,
everyone cannot access it. If you create
okay.
a client library, you have to add a property called allow proxy, and the value
Okay.
should be, then only everyone can access it. Okay, and if you don't want to do that, directly create your client library in etc folder.
So usually we will be using etc folder only for creating client libraries.
No, not usually. So
Okay.
based on your requirement. Okay, so
Okay.
let's say your client library should be applicable to anonymous users, to everyone, all users. So create it in etc. Okay, so if you want to provide the client library for specific users, so create in apps folder.
Okay. So we can restrict in apps folder. You told right, only developers can access.
Developers and admins can have
Yeah.
create, modify, delete access to the apps folder.
Okay. So for that reason, if it is required for development and admin only, we'll be creating an apps folder. Otherwise, we can go with the etc folder for all the users.
Uh, yes.
Okay. Because that client library part still, I'm not clear on that part. Why we are
We'll
creating
come
so
to that.
many folders?
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll come to that. We have not used it till now. We just
Okay.
created it. After
Okay.
inheritance, we are going to use that. That time, all your doubts will be confirmed. So,
Okay. Okay.
one thing clear that you are going to create a node of type client library. Don't confuse it with the folders, apps folder, etc folder, or inside your training. Okay. So don't confuse with the folders, but you have to create a node of type CQ colon client library, either in apps or in etc. Okay, fine.
Okay.
So now, okay, we are discussing about inheritance. So here you find some components and you can search here. Is there any component which is very similar to your requirement? Okay, or if you didn't find that component, find out a component from where you will get some help. So this is the place, leaves is the place where you can find the foundation components. So apart from foundation components, go to apps. There is a folder called core. You will find the core components there. Under apps folder. Expand apps, you'll find core folder there. Core components, WCM, expand components. So all these are components, breadcrumb, carousel, form, image. Okay. So these are core components. So you can search here also. Is there any component which is similar to your requirement? Okay. Let's say you find a component which is very similar to your requirement. What you'll do now? So you are developing a component and now you found another component which is very similar to your requirement. So you have to inherit it because you have to reuse the properties, right? So you are developing component A. There is another component existing, let's say image component or um, carousel component. Okay, you are developing your own carousel component. Okay, now you found one carousel component is already existing which is very similar to my requirement, so you can inherit this carousel component to your carousel component. Okay, so there are two ways of inheritance. Okay, so like in Java, we have inheritance in Java, right? One Java class will inherit other. So the Java class which will inherit is the child class, which is getting inherited is the parent class. Same thing, same concept here. The component that you are developing, okay, is your child component, okay, and the component which is getting inherited into your component is your parent component, okay. Fine. So there are two ways to inherit the components. First is sling resource merger. Second is overlay. Either you can use sling resource merger to inherit a component, or you can overlay the component. Okay. So first we will see sling resource merger. Okay. So we created a page rendering component called page hyphen content. Go there. Go to apps, training components. Hmm. So this is the component we created, like page hyphen content.html. Okay. Now this component will inherit another component. Means page content will be the child component, and the component which will be inherited is the parent component. Okay. So actually there is a component called page component. Okay. You can find the page component in libs, WCM, foundation, components folder. Go to that location. Libs, WCM, foundation, components, foundation components. There is a component called page component. Close this image component. Close it first. You are searching page component inside image. Close this. Yes. Page component is there. Yes. So we are going to inherit this page component into page content component. Why? Because right now some of the behavior out of the box behavior of your pages is not there, is not applied to your pages now. For example, okay, can you go to sites.html, open the product page. Okay, so you have opened the product page. There are two ways to open a page. Either you can open it in touch UI or in classic UI. Right now you open the page in touch UI. So how I know you open the page in touch UI? You can see a black color toolbar at the top of your page. I want to open this page in classic UI now. So you can duplicate this tab, or you can copy the URL. And copy the URL, paste it in another tab, and instead of editor.html in the URL, type cf pound symbol shift 3 pound, enter. So now you are opening the product page in classic UI. Okay. So usually when you open page in classic UI, you should be able to see a sidekick on your page. In the right side of your page, you should be able to see the sidekick. But the sidekick is not visible here now, because some of the default behavior, out of the box behavior, is not available here right now. Okay, that is the reason the sidekick is not visible. Now I want to get all the out of the box behavior of page. I want to show the sidekick on this page now. So how can I show it? If I inherit the page component, into our page rendering component, then I can show this right click on this page. So how to inherit page component into page content component? Why into page content? Because this page is created using a template called page content template, and that page content template uses page rendering component. Means whatever you see on this page, logo, top toolbar, so all things are coming from your page rendering component, right? So if I inherit page component into page content component, then all the default behavior of your page can be visible here. Okay, so go to crxd. I want to inherit page component.
So, so Visual, I have a question here. So, uh, we are selecting page component D for the already existing component
Component, yes.
to inherit to our created one. Why we are specifically choosing that component?
Huh. So this page component is created to implement all the out of the box behavior of a page. Okay, that is the reason we are inheriting page component. You can see image component is there, title component is there. Why we are not inheriting them? Because my requirement is I want to show all the default behavior of the page.
Okay, so we are selecting on based on the name basis.
No, based on your requirement. Just give a minute.
Okay.
My requirement is I want to show all the default behavior of a page, right?
Oh, okay.
So how can I get that? That is my requirement. Now, if I
Okay.
inherit image component,
Hmm.
so it's going to fulfill that. Do you think if you inherit the image component, you will be able to see all the out of the box behavior? No, right? Do you think title component? No. Carousel component. So
Okay.
page component will provide us all the functionality. That's why we want.
Okay. So we need a page right now. So we are selecting the page component.
Correct. Yes. We want to show all the default behavior of a page. So
Okay.
we are now select page, copy the URL, copy the no, not the, not sorry, not URL. In the search box, you can copy the path. Mm, okay, so go to page content component. Mm, Go to the properties panel. At the bottom of the properties panel, in the name field, type sling colon sling sling colon resource resourc super capital S super type capital T type type. Mm. Sling colon resource super type. So you just check is there any space after sling or you added a colon there. Colon means the double dot, right?
Colon is there. Colon is there. Yeah.
Because it's not visible clearly.
Okay.
Okay. In the value, paste the path you have copied. Value field, paste the path you have copied. And from the path, remove slash leaves slash. We want to give the relative path of the page component instead of absolute path. Remove leaves also and remove slash after leaves. Click on add. Okay. So WCM Foundation components page.
Shall I save it? Sure.
Save it. Na, after doing, you need to save it immediately. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I thought okay, something needs to be done. Okay.
Uh, link alone resource super type. So this is the property. If you want to inherit component using sling resource merger, so this is the property to be used, and the
Oh,
value should be the path, relative path of the component which you want to inherit.
okay. I have a question here as well. So we are using it. The path is from lips, right? Why we are not giving the full path?
Huh. So we don't need absolute path. We have to provide the relative path. Okay, in AEM, whenever you refer to path, always provide the relative path. Okay. Do you understand what is relative path? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Please go on. Yeah, I was about to ask that only.
Uh, so absolute path means complete path. Okay, like leaves slash WCM foundation, that is your absolute path. Relative path means just omit the primary folders, like you have to omit apps, omit leaves, omit etc. Okay, um, just remove that part and rest is your relative. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
so you have folders, apps folder is there, etc folder is there, leaves folder is there, right? So if you consider the entire path of a particular thing, that will be your absolute path. And remove the parent folder. You have to remove apps, leaves, etc. And whatever rest is remaining, that is your relative path. Okay. So because you are already inside the environment, you don't need to provide the complete path. Okay. So you just provide the relative path, it will work. Okay. Resource super type. And so you have inherited the page component. So after inheritance, I told you it should work fine, means you should be able to see the sidekick on your page. Can you open the product page, classic UI and refresh it? Still you are not able to see the sidekick on your page. Why? So we have to debug it, right? So actually there are some conflicts. So which is preventing the sidekick to be displayed on your page. So first we need to remove those conflicts. So how I'll remove the conflict? So first you have to understand the code flow. So you have opened the product.html. So product.html means you are requesting product.html. Product.html is created using a template, that is page content template. Product page content template uses a page rendering component. So page hyphen content is the page rendering component which will be executed. Right. So go to CRXD, go to page content component. So when you open product page, this component get executed. Okay. So when this component starts executing in the properties panel, it will show a property called sling colon resource super type, right? Properties panel. So now there is a value and it is pointing to page component. It means it will understand that this page content component is inheriting page component now. So page component is the parent component, page content is the child component. So as usual, parent component will be executed first, right? Before the child component. So before page content, page component will be executed. So go to page component, leaves a WCM foundation components folder. So this component will be executed, okay, because your page content component is inheriting this. So here, which file will be executed first? There are multiple files, right? So page.html is the script file of page component. So page.html will be executed. So open page.html. So this file will be executed. What we have written here, line number 18, data slide include equal to head.html. We have already seen data slide include tag. So to include a file, so head.html will be included. So where is this head.html? So just listen carefully, okay? So head.html, we are inheriting page component into page content. So now the parent component is getting executed. So it will search this head.html in child component first. If it doesn't find, then it will come to the parent component. Means it will search head.html in page content component. So go to page content component. Is there any file called head.html there? No. Header.html is there? No head.html. So now it will search the head.html in page component. Down, go to page component. Yes, it found it. Head.html is there, right? So it will execute that. Next line, line number 19. Data slide use dot body equal to body.js. So data slide use is another sightly tag which is used to call a JavaScript file or a Java file. So we'll come to this tag later. Okay, we'll discuss in details. Data slide use dot body equal to body.js. So it is calling body.js. First it will search body.js in page content component. Go to page content. Is there body.js is there? No. Only we have four files. Body.js is not there inside page content. It will search body.js in page component now. Go to page component. So it find it in the body.js and it will execute this. Next line, data slide include equal to body.html. So it will search this body.html in page component, page content component. Go back. So it finds here this time. Open this. So it will execute this body.html. Open this body.html. What we have written? So we have included header, we have included footer, we are printing body content. So everything will be executed. So this body.html is now getting executed as part of your parent component. Okay, it is already executed. Now control will go back to page.html. Go to page.html. Open page.html. Do you have any other thing in page.html? No. So we don't have anything in page.html. So page component execution completed. Now the control will come back to child component. Parent component executed. So control will come back to child component. So go to page content component. So page content component will start execute. Right. So which file will be executed first? Page content.html script file. So open page content.html. Page content.html, the script file of page content component. Open this. So what we have written here, data slide include equal to body.html. We have already included body.html in page.html as part of your parent component. In child component also you are including the same file. So it is conflicting. You cannot include a file in parent component and in child component at both the places. Either you can include it in parent or in child. You cannot include in both the places. So now I don't want to include body.html here because this body.html was already executed as part of page component, right? So if I include here again, it is conflicting. So I'll remove this line number 2. If I remove this line number 2, what will be there in this file page content.html? Nothing, right? It means I don't want to execute the page content.html at all, right? So if I don't want to execute page content.html, I can delete that file or I can rename it. So rename page content.html to page content old.html. So understand this is a little tricky. Okay, save it. Now open the page product page in classic UI. So the conflict is resolved now. Open the product page in classic UI. Yes, you can see the sidekick on your page. Right side of your page, you can see a box. Yes, that is sidekick. Now all the default behavior of your page is available here. Okay, after inheriting the page component. So page content component, inherited page component using Sling resource merger. Also, we have resolved some conflicts and we are able to get all the out of the box behavior. Got it? So in the next class, we'll see overlay, then we'll call our client library.
Okay. So Biswal, once this overlay part is also completed, we will get some idea regarding the client lib, right?
No, we'll discuss about client library. That time only you'll be able to clear all your doubts and you can understand completely.
Okay, okay.
Hey, Biswal, next class is Monday morning, right?
Monday morning, IST. Yes.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Biswal.
Yeah. Thank you. See you in next class. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Biswal. Thank you all.